is up, yo? It's your boy Anarchy. Coming at you with another My Hero Academia live reaction discussion. Starting a little late today, that's all right. We're live. That's what matters. Um, let's see. I'm gonna get everything squared away, make sure we get this posted where it needs to be. Uh, all the discords and whatnot. Hope everybody's been having a good time. We are in the epilogue. The countdown to the finale has begun. We have not, I don't think, officially announced how many chapters are left, which is something that Jump has done in the past, where they've said like, "Oh, there's 5 chapters left" or something like that. It doesn't seem to be the case this time, but we've had it. I'm kind of hoping we eventually do get that, just because I would enjoy the countdown aspect and to just know definitively without somebody having to post spoilers online that it was the final chapter. Uh, that would be great. Easier to make sure I set because I know I'm gonna have to put like a final chapter. This is the end, blah blah blah, and all that on my spoiler shields. So because I want to make sure I get to go into the final chapter without uh people which you know it would be nice if people would just be generally courteous, I guess, kind, considerate with the final chapter of a series to just not post anything about it until the official release. But I think people just aren't inherently that like considerate slash kind naturally. So it's not gonna go down that way. But I do think that would, in my mind, that's something that I feel like should be like an obvious consideration you would make, given it's the very last chapter of a thing. But whatever. Um, it is what it is. So, yes, yes. I intend to at everyone. All right. We got Coyote in the chat. Sign Mojo for. So, oh, just like that. The number shoots up a little. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the chat. That way I can, or the chapters. That way I can immediately pull people who want to be into the stream as well. Let's get it cracking. Let Craig McCracken. Those who know who Craig McCracken is. All right. Let's see. Even though I did hear that it's going to be like a 2 week break. So, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to Deku recovering and healing from the surgery cut. It's kind of rough. And now it's time to issue diplomas. Graduates, come on up. All right. And we see Nigeria. So well done indeed. Hold on, let me look at this picture, use the pictures and stuff in order instead of getting excited and ahead of myself. So now it's time to issue diplomas. Well done indeed. Congratulations on making it through the good fight. Potatoes, they're all just potatoes. Oh, Tamaki, you eternally shy boy. I graduated. How about that? And you got Hato, and looks like the students that were hating at the festival. We hate to lose you, Nigeri's Hato Senpai. Sorry, your graduation got delayed, kids. And we see President Mike DJ. The cherry blossoms already fell, but at least you get a glorious flowery send off. Oh, make some noise, peeps. And then let's see. We got the crowd screaming. The groove doesn't fit a graduation. The graduates who are used to this, new third years, former second years starting to get the gist. New second years, former first years taken aback. Yep, that tracks. Our senpai who were in limbo for a while got to graduate in June. The heck? I thought we'd all be crying, says Sarah. We got Kaminari and Hiroshima. It's like a freaking festival. You still feeling those injuries? Yeah, I sure am. But I still feel on top of the world somehow. Weird. We've got Mirio to thank. Super chat came through. Oh, looks like a this is a super stamp. It looks like I don't even know what to say. Well, thank you, Chase. Hmm. Buy my niece something that makes some noise. Don't worry, she got some noisy toys. She got some, and she's figured out that pressing the A button on the Xbox controller can. She's somewhat figured out that pressing the A button on our Xbox controller makes things go forward. And she's also sometimes figured out that B does things. And she knows the center button turns Xbox controllers on. So we can no longer hand her a controller that is turned off while watching a show with her because she will turn it back on and start tampering with buttons. But she did successfully put on a movie the other day, and that was really cool. Iggy got sick, and Horikoshi is taking care of his boyfriend like a good partner. Well, Joseph, it's hard to deny the chemistry between the two. Requests to foreign countries for essential resources and provisions, budgeting and fundraising for the overall restoration plan, deployment and allocation of aid, securing hospital beds and medical treatment. Even in our superhuman society, this rapid recovery effort was only possible thanks to behind the scenes maneuvering and the spurring on of those foreign nations by Principal Nezu, a VIP of global renown. Raise the BPM if you could. Haha, easy for you to say. Not Nezu being the reason that it's such a damn party. The principal's major contributions to quirk morality education have made him a man of global renown. All along, our principal was looking toward what would come after the battle. Those are some sick lyrics and a sick farewell address. Put your hands up for Mawata Fuwa, your underclassman rep. And now, here to clap back is the rep for the graduating class. Let me zoom in a little on this. It's a little tiny. Like a rap battle? Too cool, Shroom. And then Kendall is like, I think it's bizarre. And of course, the black guy says, drop some bars. Give it up for Mirio Togata, aka Lemillion. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your busy lives to be in attendance today. What? No stupid gag? Collectively, we've lost so much and gained nothing at all. The fact is, heroes fight to bring a negative situation back to square one. General studies, the support course, and the business course. Each of you has leveraged the experience gained at this execution to come together as one and fight the good fight. However, we're still not back to square one just yet. The 3 years we've spent here will be put towards that purpose. Today was not the goal. A world without smiles and future or humor has no bright future. We seek a positive world where people can live their lives in good cheer. That is the finish line that we're racing toward. Wow, Tagata, check me out, Night Eye. Today marks the start of that journey. So to all who graduated, who've yet to graduate, I say, and then he pops the quirk, peace out. And we see I forget her name, but the beauty contestant mobile from the support course girl come blasting through the back of the wall. Apparently, this was more or less traditional for UA graduations. Two-way temporary. Typically, you wouldn't have the same homeroom teacher 2 years in a row, but circumstances being what they are, it seems that, oh, wait, what happened to the, oh, wait, hold on. I need to check something. Okay. Because I know Midnight was one of their teachers, but that doesn't mean she didn't also double as a homeroom teacher. But I was kind of curious to see if maybe she was a homeroom teacher that, you know, died, but doesn't seem to be the case. Uh, but circumstances being what they are, it seems you're stuck with me for one more year. Of course, we get the few of relief. So glad we got you, Aizawa Sensei. Is Mina's you're crying. We wouldn't want anybody else. The dust has really settled, huh? And it's Bakugo just calmly assessing the situation. And Sero asked what anybody reading this chapter probably thought. Shouldn't you be in the hospital, man? They said I just got to take it easy, and it'd be wrong not to have everyone here today. That's weirdly sensible coming from you. Take that back. Hey, take it easy. Remember? Ahem. Sorry. And we see Aizawa looking in his most gremlin form to date. It's a grim visage. Come on in. Once more, I say adieu. Yes, I am leaving UA. Oh, Aoyama, still no change of heart. But dude, we never could have split up all for one's goons without you. Both Sensei and Detective Sukeuchi, said I may stay enrolled. But no, I must set matters right. As my very let me make sure I read this. Matriculation was part of All for One schemes. I would not be deserving of a graduation like the one we attended today. I will atone and once more walk the path of a hero. This sits well with me. After all, I reached out to you all and took your hands in mine. Yeah, someday I promise I will be worthy of standing beside you with my head held high. Dang, Aoyama, a dude among dudes. Do not cry, friends. No melancholy on my behalf. As he's breakdance belly button lasering, so bright, with even tighter control than during the school festival. On that note, there is a surprise. A new member of Class A. We see Shinso step in. Shinso? Whoa, you're joining our class? The transfer worked out. Awesome, you got your provisional license and everything? Might we discuss my farewell party? Which he did look a little gloomy at his farewell being overshadowed. Aoyama, stop. Cut it out. My quirk's bugging out again. They're going to see me. Oh, her actual face? What a cutie. Pardon moi. Quit it. It's too embarrassing. And Mineta almost, let's see, Mineta freaks out and immediately gets grabbed up by Aizawa. All this time, I got us among us. Hey, there's more business to go over. Second and third years in the hero course will be joining the greater restoration effort for the time being. Mawata Fua, new third year for the hero course. Hi, hi. You can't be on stream. You're a shirtless baby. Here, want some biscuit? Tell mommy to put the dress back on you. You can be on stream, but no naked babies out here. It's funny that mommy's telling you to come here. In addition to the ongoing restoration projects, we'll be involved with the nationwide effort to maintain law and order. We've made it past All Might's retirement and in the war in Jakku. Know that after each big battle that winds up in textbooks, there's sure to be a period of chaos the books don't talk about. Right when there was no symbol. All for One was born during chaos like that. Does that cover it, Era Sensei? Yep, Era Sensei. I used to be in Era Sensei's class myself. I take it he didn't expel all of you. Lucky, I'm jealous. He gave us pampered kids a taste of death, so to speak. Scary stuff. Thank you, Fuwa. You want to take my sandwich? You can have it. No, I can have it. I can have my sandwich. But we have him to thank for making us realize why we should be heroes. You're welcome. And then we see Deku, contemplative. New first years, can you imagine? Starting tomorrow, we're going to be senpai. It's all so much so fast. We will certainly be busy. At least we got our moment's rest, so to speak. Hey, lay off me already. Stero, sheesh. Don't be that way. Mwah! This is my pretty daughter. See if I can get some space for her plate. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. Don't be that way. All right. I can have it. Nah, I mean, I thought her speech was awesome. Uraraka, you too, Deku. So they had to give you half an undercut because of your wounds. I sure hope it grows back in soon. Speaking of makeovers, Tokoyami. Not a fascist statement though. I don't hate it. See, I want every Tokoyami fan to go on Twitter and take a screenshot of his hair being all fluffed out like this and send it to Seth and say this is your fault. And then we get a picture of somebody crying in their own little space and breathing heavily. They have something over their mouth, and it looks like blackened fingertips. Is this Tenko? You think you'll make it to the farewell party, Todoroki? Sure, as long as it's not today. I'm good. Really. here I go. And we see Angie in a wheelchair and what looks to be a very life supported Toya. And not only that, but he's basically in an iron lung. I knew that the ending wasn't going to be all sunshines and rainbows, but this is, ooh boy, this is a spicy looking. Uh, yes, can you say spicy? Can you say spicy? No, you can't say spicy. Or you're just not interested in what Daddy's talking about right now? Because I know both are likely. I know my daughter. You say I'm not interested, Dad. So you're yapping. So why you yapping, Dad? Okay. Um, she can talk. Just got to make sure she doesn't start screaming. The people want to hear your opinions, Jeannie. Let them know. Tell them what's up. No, just gonna be quiet now. Yeah. So the the thing with that Deku and Uraraka interaction is that I'm really looking forward to which direction it goes because I'm in that camp with you guys. Looks like it could go either way.
What's good, gang?
What up, Coyote?
What
What
up,
up?
gang?
What up, Joseph? If you tried to say anything, you're muted. So
Oh yeah, no. I just like I couldn't hear anything, so I was checking my settings before I said anything, but I can hear you now.
all right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So how
Um,
is everyone?
Doing wonderful, man.
all right, Coyote, you had a lot of agendas.
Me?
You had a look. You were. It doesn't look like you're headed towards your Bakuraka festival.
I mean, Bakugo didn't cut like insult Deku's cut, so to me, this looks like a Baku Deku ending for me. Because
Wow.
remember Rock is saying that shit kind of ass Deku. I hope it kind of grows back. It's kind of proof to me that Baku Deku might be a win.
I don't know. To me, it sounds like she want to get pictures with her man, and she don't want their first pictures as a couple to be with that cut.
Nah,
She
You
want to
know,
be able to show the kids the pictures.
nah.
speaking of Bakugo, there is no way his scar is only that small. Like if you
Uh,
saw how messed up his face was during those chapters, like there's no way it's only that small of a scar.
yeah, but Bakugo's face is the moneymaker. So
I mean, you'd be surprised how much blood will come from like your face, actually. Like I cut myself shaving and I'm like I cut myself shaving pretty much every time I shave. A little nicks, but like you'd be surprised how much it bleeds, especially when like you're not having a styptic or anything to staunch the flow.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh no, trust me. I'm well. I at work a couple months ago, I accidentally smacked myself in the face with a torque wrench. It slipped off the thing I was torquing, and like it's like I couldn't try to do this if I wanted to, but like it went right below the rim of my hat and right above my safety glasses.
oh,
that is. You
ouch.
never described how that like injury happened. I remember we talked about the work injury.
Yeah,
That's some cosmic levels of this
yeah,
work accident had to happen. Because what
That's
the hell?
yeah. I call it the
the
perfect storm of stupid because it
a
just
spirit has it out for you, man.
yeah,
Uh, oh man.
yeah.
Well, I hope you're feeling better after that.
You've been
this
nice to
was
get
months ago. So like
Okay.
I got a little scar above my eyebrow that looks like a smiley face. So
Oh, that'll be a story to tell your dates.
yeah.
Okay, so this chapter,
Wait, before you go on, Volk, I just want to remind the church, especially chat, because they probably don't know if they're not in the Discord. Yesterday was East's birthday, so can we get a fucking happy birthday,
Oh,
East, in the
East.
chat?
Hey, happy birthday, East, my guy.
Hell yeah, we love you, East. If you were here, I'd sing
Oh.
to you. Unfortunately, you're not, so
Big
go ahead,
Rob.
Volk. Spit it off.
I've been robbed by a
Well,
child.
my singing is terrible, so maybe East
Oh
is
no,
gonna.
not the
More.
singing. I meant your take.
What you were talking
I mean,
about?
okay,
Nosy?
yeah. So, this
They
chapter,
have nosy?
there was a lot to talk about. Like, I mean, the thing with MHA is you do not get a full picture of things in the big battle arcs until you get into the arcs that come after. Like it was Dark Deku and Star and Stripe for after PLW. And yes, those still had a lot of action in them, but they were kind of also establishing things. And they were in the middle of the chaos. So at the end of this huge battle, the biggest battle in the series, you do need the kind of debrief arc. And there was just so much that if you're really paying attention, there's so many details to mine. I want to start with like Mirio.
Mhm.
I got the sense when I was seeing like Deku kind of lying down and he was looking up at Mirio on the podium. I got the sense he was a little jealous, actually.
Really?
Because when you really think about it, Deku is in the same situation Mirio was after Overhaul, except it's even worse because there's no airy quick hack to really get him back, it seems. Aries quirk is changed now, is changed just to get him his arms back. And even so, it's like, would One for All even come back through Rewind? It was kind of confirmed with AFO, with how AFO was using the power, not really, right? So he's kind of SOL, shit out of luck right now. So Mirio's kind of in the spot that that I think a part of him feels he should be in. And like this is the thing with Deku is like he's not really willing to admit kind of his more selfish desires. So when he sees Mirio up there, I'm wondering like how their next talk is going to go because they need to talk because they went through the same thing. Mirio is one of his mentors. I'm wondering what's going to come from that, and whatever advice Mirio gives him is going to give Deku, or at least start giving Deku some peace of mind. Like that was my read before getting into any of the other stuff. Is like, do I need?
No, I agree. I agree. Because there's like that is a weirdly intense stare from Deku. And like there's almost like the way it's shaded, like even some of the like just generally some of the interactions he's had this chapter are his face is like shaded kind of funny. Like the same applies to as they're talking about like new first years, blah blah blah. Like he's got that weird shading on his face. There's just a lot of I feel like Deku's close to his breaking point that's kind of being implied through facial expressions
Yep.
this chapter, where he's just kind of like staring into the void almost. Which I mean, it makes sense, like based off everything that's happened, right? Like it's not like this victory is really Pyrrhic, and that's what I like about Mirio's speech. Because I want to try to keep it on the Mirio speech section of the story, just because we're gonna try to keep this stream on track, just as we get towards the end of the series. So we want to make sure chapters get their due diligence here.
I thought it was a very nice speech.
No, like it's a really good speech. Um, Especially given that Mirio's considered a goofy, like an oddball, goofy character, which Horikoshi makes it a point to address that when they say like, "What? There's no gag." Because with Mirio, he often introduces himself with something goofy, right? He was introduced popping out of the floor and walls to scare Deku, um, and then whooping his class while naked. But
Pause.
no pause. No pause.
That's such a freaky statement to say.
Was he not cheeks out, suns out, guns out? whooping class 1A?
I don't know. I never saw that personally.
Because
He's got the costume on. Was probably pulled aside by the event organizers. Like, look, man, you can't show your junk. Put on the costume before you try anything funny.
Pretty much.
it had to have had, but he either was just more considerate, like, okay, there's a limit, or somebody said something like, "Hey, yo." And I lean towards somebody being like, "Hey, yo, dude, don't do that. This is a graduation, not a picnic. No reason for the meat to be out." So
You remember how All For One had his junk out? Nobody liked that. That's what we feel about you.
everybody hated that.
No, no one-eyed snake drifting in the breeze, okay?
None of that.
uh, and also, another small detail. You see Nejire's friend, and I put that in quotes. You see her friend like really
Yeah.
onto her.
Oh,
That's
I know her name. Goddamn.
yeah. We know what she is. We
Yes.
know what she is.
The lilies.
Yes, it's you.
Tell
I
the
knew
story.
it.
Yeah.
The flowers tell the story.
They do. And then after that is the homeroom scene. And after last chapter, I was kind of thinking about like what would it be happening next. I'm like, we kind of need kind of layout of how things are going to go from here before we get into like any character specific stuff. And that's what this chapter was, and what it needed to be. And there are a few things I like about this. I like that Aizawa is still the homeroom teacher. Like I feel
Mhm.
like I feel like the kids like that's more than a normal teacher student bond. Like they went through some crazy shit together, right? So having them with them one more year before like they kind of get more independent. And by the way, when you enter third year in Japan, that's when you're prepping for college and stuff. So like there's a lot less free time. And they're not really doing college for what they do, but still that's like preparing to enter the workplace. So it kind of makes
Yeah.
sense, that gradual release of responsibility. So I love that. I love that the second and third year curriculums are not traditional, because it's like people were asking, like, are they gonna just sit in a freaking calculus class again? It's like, well, they're gonna do that from time to time, but the other half of what would be their exercise training is just going around and fixing stuff. So it's a double positive of getting experience and helping build up the country again.
Yeah, so I don't see the remaining UA kids getting anything resembling what previous UA students have gotten as an education, barring the very first years of the academy. Because, like you mentioned, there's this whole rebuilding period. So even the hero work they do out in these streets is going to be more uh, extreme, we'll say, than what previous UA students would have had. And I think part of the one of the first things they're going to be dealing with, in my opinion, is that what I think might have been the Senko fragment. Which actually, let me not talk about that right now. Let me save that, because I think that's going to be the most uh speculative, but I think we'll be able to talk about that for a little while. So I don't want to go
I
too
mean,
hard on that.
he Deku last chapter said, "I still feel the ember burning within me."
Yeah.
So it's uh, like even if he's not expecting a quirk back or anything, it's kind of odd usage of the word to be like burning. It's
Yeah.
not like flickering or still there. It's like, no, it's burning. So it's like, I feel like that's just kind of preparing it to kick into high gear eventually.
And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Also, I like that I want to say that I do like that there was some kind of gag here, because it's supposed to get lighter, right? the story, so, like Horikoshi doesn't want us to just sit here and be depressed the entirety of the epilogue. So I do like that Mirio was like, I got to give you this serious speech. I like that he's internally thinking about Night Eye. Because I like the fact that Night Eye has never faded from the story. Um, I think he's because of how serious he was and how he didn't believe in Deku, people dislike Night Eye a lot. So they don't think about him. But a lot of his ideology is kind of what shapes what the heroes are doing, especially what 1A is doing. Because, like, yes, Deku was driven that way, but the whole reason UA put on that concert, like when they put on that concert, is because they realized that the state of society was messing with people's moods, making them very anxious. Just there's a reason these arcs are back to back, and it's partially like, yes, this is for Eri, but this is something that all of the heroes need to take into account is the mindset of the people that they're dealing with. And so what I also like about Mirio's speech though is that it's flawed. Um and it's flawed intentionally because it kind of highlights the difference between what Deku and Mirio are supposed to do as heroes. Because he talks about getting back to square one. And he's correct in that heroes are consistently trying to reestablish the normalcy within people's lives. But Isaiah brought this up last week when she was talking, or the week before, I can't remember which one anymore, when she was talking about the blueprints and just trying to get all the buildings and everything immediately back to how everything was. They need to make sure that they don't just go back to how things were. They can't go to step one. They need to go further than step one. They need to get back to step one and to take an extra step forward instead of getting complacent. And so I'm curious to see if Deku, like the part of the conflict that Deku's feeling is that he knows that they need to take that extra step.
Yeah, I mean, there's
And
also
without him, they don't know. He doesn't know if they'll be able to do it. Because I mean, Uraraka's here; she's able to do that. And the fact that people are making fun of her, or like Sarah kind of like brought up the speech, and they talked about her speech, and like
yeah.
that's on the hero side. But we need to make sure that on the civilian side, the benefits that they need are also going to be addressed. Which we're heading into the Todoroki section, so that
There's
that
the
actually could.
Todoroki stuff. There's also this new villain we see who is like I I'm pretty like I know what the purpose of him is. I'm just not sure what the specifics are.
People are saying that's Tenko.
Yeah, that's one possibility. The theory I'm leaning towards is that this is just a completely random villain. And remember what Shoto says this chapter when they're kind of going over the restoration efforts. He's like, "This is a period of chaos, and All for One was born in such a time."
Yeah.
And then you cut to this new guy. I'm like, I wonder if like the end of the story is like Deku getting kind of that second chance to save a villain and stop that cycle from starting over again. Because remember, like AFO, he was who he was because there was nobody to help him, like right from when he was born. Like he was awful, he was evil, absolutely despicable human being. Yes. He was still how he was because he was born in a time where nobody could possibly help him. So
I don't know. I always just thought he was born evil.
Not
Oh,
really. Like there was that influence from his quirk from birth, but like it's very intentional that he doesn't even like his mother's not even alive when he's born.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I
He's
just
shaped. He's
believe
shaped.
someone's just born evil.
He's shaped by his environment. Like even though he feels that disdain, is like there's still nobody that was really there to guide him or
All
anything.
for One is complicated because I view him as kind of both.
Mhm.
Because like I,
so is it like a nature versus nurture type of thing?
Yeah.
because so I think his nature is inherently inclined towards evil. Um, I do think he has a natural inclination towards it just due to the nature of his quirk. Um, because at the end of the day, like depression, certain forms of mental illness, like there are certain things that are like your brain is going to be predisposed towards X, Y, or Z sometimes just based on its chemical makeup. Uh, and I think that All for One's chemistry just off being born with All for One, which I also think is very interesting and intentional that we never see. Like, yes, he tells us that his last name is Shigaraki, but we still have not gotten All for One's first name. Um, so that's something I find fascinating. And also, we now know that Shigaraki would be the name that he gave himself. It's not a name that, he didn't have a real name. So he
Yeah,
made,
yeah.
like, so he's just All for One Shigaraki. So that's weird, but
Yeah, I mean, like him not be having a first name kind of fits. Like that's kind of the thing. Is like it is nature versus nurture. Like I think All for One was kind of comprised of those two elements. But like the villain, Deku saved Shigaraki's soul. He didn't really save Shigaraki as much as he wanted to. Is the
yeah,
thing.
no.
So like I think this is his second chance. This other villain coming.
I agree.
Yeah. I
So
mean, he's snipping something, and I'm pretty sure it's like the bandages around his mouth. Like it's weird. I'm interested to see what his quirk is because if it's like oh, All for One was born in such circumstances, maybe it's like a really really dangerous quirk. I don't know.
it has to be. If it's not a Tenko shard, because the reason why I'm curious about the potential of it being a Tenko shard is obviously he's going for the classic barefoot Shigaraki walk that it reminds me of. But two, I was curious about this ever since he started sprouting like faces and stuff out of the hands and body parts. Like if he could just drop a duplicate. So
Like there's still a chance it could be Piccolo. Like
yeah, like that's one of the things that I was curious about is like because once we saw like the full family pop out, I was like, I wonder how much further he could push that. Because
I
that's
mean,
Oh,
All
the
for One
anime's gonna be getting to that
confirmed.
part soon.
Yeah, All for One confirmed Decay was gone. So it's like, did something get split off? I don't know. Uh,
but first I want to say, Seth, welcome.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
So did
Heyo.
anybody tweet you what I told them to tweet you yet?
Oh no. Oh no. I'm not checking. I'm not checking.
So how'd you feel about page 13 of this chapter?
It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
Notice chat. He knows exactly what page 13 is.
It's gonna be fine. If the author drew it that way,
oh, I see it now.
if the author drew it that way, it's gonna be fine.
So
It'll grow in.
what was
It'll
that you were
grow
saying
in.
last week?
Still
What were
not
you
as
saying
bad as
about
Deku.
what were you saying about Deku's hair?
Nothing could ever be as bad as Deku's hair. And
Oh,
that
really?
remains true.
What about that? You still
Yami's
believe that?
great.
That remains true. His character design is still the same. It's good. We'll be fine. We can get through this. It's just the hospital arc. Post-hospital arc. We're good. We're good. Hi.
It looks like a freaking beach bum now, like with the hair.
Shut up.
Kind of like dried and bleached out.
He looked like it got like fluffed up, kind of almost. Not quite. Like someone ruffled it. But yeah,
It's like
I guess that's what fighting all for one does.
that's
So
wicked. See, that's how you know there's a difference between All Might and All for One, though, because All for One fights people and he kind of messes their hair up, but we see hope for it to recover. When All Might fights people, they no longer have hair. So
he lost his head. Like, oh my gosh. I'm still so happy we got to see that. That was that.
I mean, we knew like he effed him up enough like to destroy his face and his head, but it's like, well, how far did he go? It's like, nope, clean, just like a clean shear. And like the crazy thing about that is like that dude was in a morgue. He was dead. He was declared dead.
No,
So they thought they got rid of him, but then Ujiko snuck in there, and yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Just so that page with I know everyone's like that's when we're introduced to what looks like to be the new villain, right? But they have scissors, and I'm just like, oh, this features all the haircuts. Like you have Deku with his hair lopped off half, and then Tokoyami with his head all frizzed, and then just it cuts immediately to a villain with scissors, and I'm just like, I can't.
Those
Oh
clever
no.
visual, those clever visual.
Horikoshi, I see you. All right. No, yeah, this was a great chapter, and I'm so happy we have like a whole arc of stuff like this. Like, I didn't realize how much I missed the school stuff until 5 years later. It's been so long. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Volk.
Oh no, it's fine. I've been talking a lot. So couple other things. Shinso being in class A is freaking hilarious because now Monoma has to reconcile his seething hatred for them
Character
For his-
growth.
For
with
his
his
love of
best buddy.
Shinsa.
Yeah, with his best buddy now being one of them.
Character growth.
So that's perfect. The other thing, and this was if you know me, this was definitely what would interest me the most about the chapter is Ochako. So they're having like this kind of casual conversation and they're kind of making fun of each other like friends, poking fun at each other, all in good fun. And then, Deku kind of tries to cut in and compliment her, but she's kind of like, she kind of thinks she's teasing him too, and she kind of fires back a little, but like, again, all in good fun. But Deku notices something a little weird with her. And if you remember Sports Festival, was kind of he saw her after her match with Bakugo, and he was sad that he was not really able to comfort her when he saw how broken up she was, like listening in with her father.
Mhm.
And I find it so curious that Deku was essentially doing the same thing with Bakugo and All Might and other people. He's kind of hiding how he feels, and so you have two characters who are very similar, who kind of went through like the same thing during the last war arc. They had the same type of mission, and now both of them are hiding how they feel. Now, it would be one thing if you just kind of launched into a conversation like almost immediately after the war and would have been like, like I'm super depressed and I'm sad. But Horikoshi is kind of touching on a few things. He's touching on Achako's tendency to kind of avoid dealing with her emotions, like she bottles them up. That's her flaw. Deku's own flaw is kind of similar. He
Mhm.
bottles up how he feels. So, considering this is the end of the manga now, like that's clearly going somewhere. Like,
Yeah, no.
like he's like he introduces it. Right? He's like establishes it's there. He establishes that Deku's not okay with it from how you see his facial expressions. So that I'm pretty sure that like what's going to segue into like the last 2 to 3 chapters is whatever their next moment is.
Yeah, no, this is actually shaping into a true blue epilogue arc that has actual character journeys in it, and I'm here for it. I'm so glad that this one dude on Twitter who hates My Hero and FMA but loves Black Clover.
Thomas.
Oh, dude, the double whammy. Like, okay, I don't mean any offense, but like, if you ask Black Clover for freaking MHA and FMA, I have no recourse but to conclude you are like the most annoying type of meathead. I'm sorry.
Great gooner, bro.
Wait, is Black Clover still running?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's Jump Giga, so it comes out every couple of
Yeah.
months.
And all the wind has been taken out of those sails because it's just like,
Unfortunately, yeah,
yeah,
because
I mean, like,
I do like Black Clover, and
I mean, the problem with those chapters, they're kind of designed to be weekly chapters, but they're
Hmm.
stretched out now over
yeah, no,
long
I mean,
periods.
it feels like he had like the drafts already set, and then once the decision was made to move magazines, he just kept those the way they are because they're about the same length as they normally would be in Weekly Jump.
Yeah.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah. So what were you saying, Anarchy?
But they were like, I hope my hero just gets 2 or 3 chapters and then it's done. And I'm like, I don't want that at all. Like, no, this is a, and as he said, like as Horikoshi said, and I'm so grateful for it. This is a story that has a lot of stuff to be told still. So to just leave it at that would be wild. And that's not like as much as people are like Hori Rushes, like there's stuff that he's done way faster than I would have liked, such as the Mina stuff. Because I saw what he was setting up, I knew where he was going with it. He executed the plot point like I expected it to be executed, but a lot faster. But he's no longer, and I think this is the most important part, he is no longer worried about criticism. You cannot cancel him at this juncture of the story. His story is already over. So they're not going to sit here and be like, Horikoshi, we're pulling the plug. You're getting 5 chapters. Get it done. It's still one of the best selling manga in the world. And I think having that extra breath, like that space and like that knowledge, like I'm in the 100 million club. I get to finish my story and go forward. It allows him to like give at least these chapters, 2 chapters. Because like I'm sorry, but like Dobby should barely be functional. I don't even know if his ears should be working right now. So
He's lost like I'm pretty sure he's lost like 90% of his brain functions, and it's just the bare minimum keeping him alive.
Yeah,
So,
like I kind of got the impression that they're about to pull the plug on him,
oh, absolutely.
which is why Shodo said that like he would be able to meet with the others for like a little celebration as long as it wasn't that day.
hey, what up, John? That's my white brother. Uh, if you ever heard me mention my white family, that's John.
What up, John?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello,
But
John. So
but
yeah, I mean, like it's just, I mean, there's irony in Dobby surviving longer than Togi and Shigaraki, considering he wanted to die, he intended to die,
I mean,
and
he
he
showed
wore
up
his
to the
own
final.
funeral clothes.
Yeah, I was about to say he showed up to the final battle in funeral clothes. So
yep. So like, and it's ironic that he's lived alongside of all of them. However, like unless they convince Ujiko to cooperate and give up some of his secrets, which I'm not entirely sure of. Like I can
Uh,
see, I don't know, man.
If I'm
But even
Ujiko, I'm sure. Why not? Fuck it. Because here's the thing, and what I really like about Makia is that he was mind controlled, but he spoke his own thoughts, and he was pissed. Now, if you're going to tell me that Makia has more of a spine than Ujiko, yes, that makes sense because Makio got that dog in him, quite literally. He is a dog quirk. But come on, bro. This man didn't free Makia. He fucking failed anyway in his dreams. And he, at any point, could have teleported near where your shit was and just teleported you out. He could have made those moves. He chose not to. He chose not to save you back at fucking
Jakku.
yeah, like come on, bro.
yeah, so I'm not sure what the deal with him is going to be because like I can see a sort of Orochimaru thing happening where it's like in exchange for his secrets, they kind of give him a plea deal. but
He's a rat.
he's a rat. Shanks rat theory. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. Like I feel like they are gonna have to pull the plug either way because it feels like Dobby went even further than what happened on Sokoto Peak. Like they already rebuilt him once. I don't know if they'll be able to do it a second time, even if they had
So the thing with Dobby is that it's very clear that, like, to me, this looks like he's basically in an iron lung that is open so that we can see
Just how
for,
messed up he is.
He's in a back to
yeah.
tank. He's in a
Okay,
back
so
to tank from
that's
Star
what it's supposed
Wars.
to be. Okay. So yeah. And he's got wires running into his literal heart. He's 100% being artificially kept alive. Uh, when he was sitting there talking about, like, oh, now everybody's here, from what I could tell, he had already cooked his eyes out. Like, not exactly, the most encouraging situation to be in. He cooked most of his eyes. He doesn't have a nose. Um, he damaged his chest, limbs, etc., very severely. I, it's not like he can actually live. So, what's he gonna do? Develop a sixth sense where he can sense the world through temperatures, thermosense, and he's gonna walk around on ice legs that he finally has the ability to utilize. Like I don't know. It's just a real tough sale. Like a really tough sell. Which to me means that having to acknowledge that the death of Dobby is what's best for him is going to be used as
Bless you.
Bless you.
thank you as a platform for other discourse within the Todoroki family, and not necessarily the central point of the chapter
Yeah.
that's coming up.
It's just like I mean, as much as people kind of drag MHA for being like, oh, super predictable, I'm like, is it really in a lot of ways? Like it's predictable in the sense that like you kind of get the direction things go, but like it's things like this where things grow more complicated, right? So
It just depends on what like they mean by predictable. Is like if they meant like the direction of how fights were gonna go, I could understand that. But
Hmm.
in terms of like story beats, I don't really think, or just like how something is gonna be dealt with, I don't think most people can really say it is. Because I remember a lot of people were still questioning, like during the war, they're saying how are they going to beat the twice thing? Nobody predicted it was going to be. Oh yeah, it makes sense that the clones would run out of time because it's still a timer for each clone. So no one could predict that during the time that was going. So I don't think plot wise it's predictable.
yeah, yeah, I'd say I agree with that.
So the thing that's always made me kind of laugh about the MHA is predictable people is that a lot of times it'd be like, all right, so we're gonna have a villain arc, and they'd be like, we're not having a villain arc, bro. That's ridiculous. There's not gonna be a villain arc. Nobody's gonna have a villain arc in MHA. That's stupid. I don't even know why you would think that. It's like, okay. So I kind of stopped caring about people who claim the series is predictable when stuff like that happens, where it's like, ah, yes, the predicted villain arc that everybody said wasn't, like a bunch of people said wasn't going to happen, but this because the series is too shown. And that's the thing too, is that people think being able to recognize, oh yeah, the
Everybody
hero,
thought everybody thought Bakugo was going to go the Sasuke route. And what happened? He didn't because he's like, fuck that. I actually want to be a hero, right?
yep, like those people, well, they're not, oh, nothing to say there. Quick to kind of vanish. That's kind of always been the case, though, right? Is that a lot of really weird critiques. And then the other thing is like claiming that because you were able to predict something, 90% of the story and like, oh, like he's gonna finally do. All right, cool. Like, yeah, we should kind of have an idea of where the story's going towards the end. So even that's not necessarily like a slam. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we're at the end. Like we should pretty much know how We should just
There's-
have a general direction of like sense.
because there's kind of like there's good and bad predictability. Okay, so good predictability is, let's say, just for the sake of like, we'll use my hero as an example, just for this. We see like good predictability is, you know, All for One is one of the villains. We know Shigaraki is a big villain. We understand that Deku has to come in conflict with these guys at some point. We understand that the major conflict of the series is going to be contingent around these characters. That is good predictability because it's having an understanding of the plot as it's supposed to be written.
Yeah.
Bad predictability is, and I'm going to step into One Piece territory here for a second,
Huh.
because what I'm about to mention is universally panned as one of the worst writing and most boring predictable decisions Oda has ever made. And bad predictability. And I bet you as soon as I say this, Volk is going to be like, yep, at 2 Wano, Big Mom getting out of the water.
Yep.
That's such a sentence.
Because as soon as she stepped out of the water, she had no memory. And Volk, what did we all know was going to happen then?
We knew she was gonna get her memory back, and she was gonna flip out,
And help Luffy out of jail.
And
That
like
was it.
here's the other silly thing about that. The way Oda writes Big Mom like can be so weird because she has a genuinely horrifying backstory and she's very intimidating, especially in Whole Cake.
Oh,
Whole Cake, but then you go to Wano and she starts acting like the most exaggerated, over the top, kind of misogynistic way. And it's like it's just too much. It's like it's Oda going overboard. So yeah.
I've always said that the wildest thing about Big Mom is that she is like 80 female stereotypes rolled into one. She is a large woman who kind of like has her own accolades, but also fucks her way to the top because she has like 15 to 20 baby daddies and wears a muumuu. Like,
Just like me, for real.
why would you do this thing? Like, it doesn't have to be this way.
Uh yeah. I mean, I could go on all day about like some of the
But I just wanted to contrast that because that was such an example of bad predictability because you introduce a character and you immediately know, like, obviously she's probably going to get her memory back when she's near Luffy or whatever, but you're also like, yeah, she's going to end up helping him get out of jail. And the thing about that is, like, we're like, I want to say we're like 3 or 4 chapters into Act 2 when that happens. And then it's like, well, that's going to be how this act ends. She's going to bust Luffy out of jail, blah, 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 blah. That sucked because it meant, well, there's no tension in this act. There's nothing I need to care about. It's going to be fine. It's going to be completely fine. I already know where this story ends. Hopefully, I can enjoy part of the journey to get there at least. You don't want what's predictable to be so deflating to the rest of the story that it's just like, oh, great. I don't care about any of these interactions because this interaction is guaranteed to happen. You don't want the predictability to kill the plot.
Okay.
What's
Hello,
up, Bonzu?
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I heard that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, that's I'm really happy to hear that. So, guys, what was this chapter? I'm lost literally right now. That last segment lost me. That last segment lost me literally. I heard you a little bit talk about it, but do we know this character?
No, that's a new character.
There's a really new character.
Yes.
What the heck? What? We could have an end to the story. What is happening now?
So I like one of the ideas Volk floated earlier that this guy is the potential next All for One, potential next Shigaraki, and Deku's going to get to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also partial to him being like effectively a Tenko fragment, but it looks like he's in a straight jacket, so he may genuinely be like an inpatient that's escaping. So
Could it be ending again?
he could be
Did you just say
Yeah.
ending? That
No,
bomb
no.
is never coming back.
but he could actually just be the Joker of this series. So we got a couple potential things he can be.
because they were talking about the situation right now, and the story is perfect for a character as of a one to be born in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be that guy that they were talking about might be somebody without a quirk?
Mhm.
Because the only person that can have the mind, for me, that's how I think about it. It's more like someone who has no powers, a quirkless person in what just happened in Japan in My Hero Academia. Do you know how scared you would be? How scared you will be, and and, uh, how how much hope you will lose in humanity, because
So
you that would be if there is a villain, that would be that one kind of villain that would be perfect for the story. Perfect for to be born in that type of situation, because
so
it would be someone that is powerless. But
the situation you're describing, then I wouldn't want it to be somebody who looks so young. I would be looking for a Senator Kelly type, somebody a little older that could like kind of spin a campaign, get people behind them, and really get a movement going. You know what I mean?
like I told you, when I saw the character, I was just lost. I thought to myself, man, I just want the story to end right now, to have a good end. And you just show this character in the middle of it. For what?
Yeah, I get that.
Well, what I like about this is that, so as you guys know, I think I'm a big fan of Young Justice. And
Yeah,
every
yeah,
Young Justice season ends with a plot resolved, and there's always some bit of a cliffhanger. And some people don't like that, but and it was one of the creators talked about it is like the series didn't end on a cliffhanger because this was before season 3 was approved and finally got to come back. He said it ended as business as usual for the heroes. And I think
yeah.
superhero series, especially, should end on business as usual notes in regards to there's always going to be something. That is why this world has superheroes. So it's okay to know that there's something that's coming on their journey, letting us know like this is what the future of this world holds is fine. I think that's an okay thing to tell us. And if we ever want to come back to the IP, here we'll have something for you. Uh, but this is where the story as we know it is ending. This is the snapshot of the world that people exist within that we're getting. Just like technically, when Naruto ended, they are military nations. Fundamentally, with or without Boruto, we have to know Naruto becoming Hokage does not mean there is world peace forever. This is a world that has countries of militaristic, alien powered mystic ninjas. Peace cannot exist forever in that world. It just can't. We we cannot maintain permanent peace in our society. And we don't have mystic ninjas. We just have gats and bigger gats and radioactive gats
We can
and
give the
gaseous gats.
illusion. We can get the illusion that we are in peace by making wars in other places. But yeah, for sure, you're right on that one. I never thought about the end of Young Justice like this, like it's just business as usual. Because I remember watching the first season and the second one, the way that it could frustrate me. Uh, it was immense. Just how frustrated I could be just for the end of the season 2 was atrocious, man. Freaking atrocious. But yeah, yeah, no, it's understandable. Do you think that Horikoshi might do something like this? Do you, uh, Nikki, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Repeat that.
I said, do you think that Horikoshi would put an end to like Young Justice?
Yes. I think that's inevitably where we have to go. I don't think we can, because this isn't, I don't expect us to see everything get developed. I do expect us to, especially because of the adult designs. I would love if the very last chapter of the series, because normally I don't like flash forwards because they can be kind of, I don't want to say cringe, but they can be kind of cringe. Um, but a flash forward for my hero, just maybe actually not even one chapter, maybe like a two chapter finale. Or if it's one chapter, a longer last chapter, like one of those 40 pagers, you know what I'm talking about, guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Where we get to see them do stuff as adults, maybe bust a case or two, just kind of like a mix of where are they now vibes, plus them getting to do shit going forward. Because that would give us the Young Justice ending of business as usual. This is what they're doing, but it would also close out the story from the perspective of like what we want to see out of these characters. And obviously, we could at any point, revisit. Uh, I actually like Bleach's Flash Forward. I'm gonna be real with you. I like the idea of yes, they still have powers. Yes, they still go and deal with hollows and shit. But ultimately they did all have to get normal human jobs because they live in the human world. So they don't get to just opt out of that shit. Though I do think Chad is cheating by being a professional boxer. Because despite the fact that he got jobbed against high level spiritual threats, the average boxer, even like a top tier boxer, is not touching Chad.
Facts. That
Like
was
that.
that was that was some Mexican shit, right?
Like that's some evil ass shit right there, Chad.
For sure.
Like
Oh man, I was in
I,
there. I was in there, son. And he was going out with Karine. If I'm not-
I would love for Deku to have an apprentice. In fact, if this character had been introduced this chapter, who looks comparable in age to Deku, but it could just be the angles we're working with. I would love for this specific new, who what could have been villain, to be his apprentice. But what I'll also take is we flash forward and we see two students trying to get a like internship at a hero agency, and like we're not getting full shots of the students right away, and then it turns out to be like Kota and Eri trying to get an internship at Deku's hero agency while they're in UA. I would like that a lot. I think that would
That'd
be
be pretty
cool.
lit.
But that's just because that would be really good for Kota's character arc too. Like nobody cares about that kid's character arc. Like I don't think anybody's been like, man, Kota could really use like a super stellar conclusion to his character arc. That'd be dope. But like,
It's just one of those things where it's nice knowing.
yeah, and Eri, making her quirk work despite having clipped off her horn. I think that would be nice, and I think her being a rescue hero, especially, is something that I think would be pretty dope. Especially, I'm a big fan of those like Recovery Girl Eri fan arts that like pop up every now and then when they're like she's training under Recovery Girl and they're saving people together. Like I really like that. So I think that's a real wholesome thing, and like an extremely satisfying, like an extra final cherry on top for Eri, like not just helping Deku, but also her just getting to generally help people around the world and completely erasing the stigma that Overhaul tried to put on her quirk. So, that's as strange as it may be. I think that would be just as satisfying. But like I said, I've always kind of hoped that this is a meta commentary series, and we just kind of get a bunch of them sitting there talking to cameras at the end. The ending is there's a lot of endings that I could be very happy with for my hero, so I'm just kind of excited to see what we get. If it's none of them and it's still good, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think like My Hero has like a direct ending that can really be disappointed with the way it's going. The only one is like, unless you're me, it's like Quirkless Deku having to cook at Burger King or something with Sean cucking him. That's the only worst ending for bad people,
Oh,
But
oh
everything
snap!
else is good.
Somebody pointed this out in the chat, and I didn't like catch it right away. But yeah, they did give Jiro a prosthetic ear. That's a nice little detail, and it looks like
Oh yeah.
she's got like a little. Wow, that's surprisingly detailed, actually. But she's got the little jacket at the end of her little prosthetic
Yep.
too. So I'm curious to see if it'll be able to reach
Ah,
still somewhat replicate her basic quirk features, like
that's
transferring
a
her heartbeat.
relief.
Yeah, like
Yeah, no, I thought that would be possible because her quirk is like from her ear. So like, I mean, you have your inner ear and your outer ear, right? So
yeah,
like, if it was her outer ear that's damaged, but her inner ear is still working, then yeah, something prosthetic should be able to work. So I'm glad that, her career or anything is still viable.
viable.
Yeah, no, that's
Officially
good.
a musician with a hearing aid too.
Yeah, no, she doesn't deserve to have her career cut short. So I'm glad that she, well, that's still obviously a consequence of the war, just having to live with a prosthetic, maintaining it and all that. But
Mhm.
like it's she can still do her job and I'm glad.
Also, I guess, how do we feel about Ayama leaving?
That's a good note. That was one of the moments where I'm like, I am so glad this is an arc and not just like the end of the story as like I was reading this and I'm like, this feels like both the last chapter of MHA and like a new one. And it's such a good mix of feelings for me. Well, I mean, as good a mix as Somber is, I guess, but I like that. I think that's a good consequence for his actions while also like he's not like gone kind of. I'm sure he'll still be in everyone's lives, just not their school lives. So I think it's a good thing. Also, I'm happy that Shinzo gets to be in the class too. Like we get to see his character dynamics now with class 1A properly. So I'm happy all around. This was a good decision, I think.
Also, to the comments about PS2 era MHA would have had lots of games. I would have been fine with them as long as they were so you know how people like love the Naruto arena fighters?
Oh yeah.
I don't like arena fighters. I've just never liked arena fighters. Um like
See,
I've tried to get into them.
it's not about the arena fighters. It's about a new game with your characters
Yeah,
in like a new engines. It's the novelty of the game itself more than the gameplay sometimes because especially when you're a kid and you're growing up and it's like you don't really care so much about the content of the game. It's just the game itself kind of like there's some pretty bad games from that era that I love to death just
yeah.
because you're a kid and you kind of eat them up.
But I
That's
was a
that
big fan of the Ultimate Ninja series, which was the 2D fighter for Naruto.
yeah.
And I would have loved to have gotten some of these for My Hero. I would love to get like I don't like Dragon Ball Fighters either, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
Spitting.
We
Spitting.
No. I
talking
actually agree though. I'm not a big fan of those types of games either. Like I had a couple, but like
like
um
we talking
it
about
also was a bit much, just
we
the
talking
regular
about those
releases.
mid-ass arena fighters.
I grew up on Dragon Ball Tenkaichi
see,
2
I would never
and
want to play
3
MHA Fighter Z.
and
Never.
I mean,
I do want a new MHA game though. Like where is One's
Yeah,
Justice
You got
3?
Ultra Rumble, bro.
I don't want see, and like that's the thing is that I hate that we got One's Justice as another arena fighter. Just please give me fucking look, NetherRealm, Midway, please just find a way to partner with MHA. Do like an Injustice Gods Among Us cross MHA collab. I'd play that in a heartbeat. Give me something that's give me something like that. I don't I'm tired of anime
Justice
games being confined to like arena fighters, man. Like I'm just so
I mean,
tired.
Yeah.
it's just low risk, low reward, man. Like that's the problem with the IP games. Like they like they don't make a whole lot of money anyways. Like in fact, most times they kind of unless it's something like Storm, they kind of do sell them at a loss. It's mainly so they can advertise the franchise. That's why they mainly make them. It sucks, but that's how it is. But like the problem is they don't want to take that risk to make something like more daring. And only recently with One Piece, past like the Warrior series and again its own like string of fighting games, are they starting to do stuff like World Seeker, which I haven't heard great things about, and Odyssey, which I heard was okay. I haven't investigated it too much, but it's like it's just the way it is. But I really want like an MHA style Persona, an MHA Persona style game. I think that would be perfect.
I think MHA should go with the Kakarot route.
Look, Jump Force failed because of a whole host of reasons. Part of it being that it was a tag fighter, other part of it being like I think some of the characters were bad slot usage. Um, Other parts of it being that it was just like a little clunky too. Um, but unless the games are like the Storm franchise, no anime game will last me. I don't think that's a hot take. But also the thing about Naruto is, and this is the thing that like I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge, especially when we're talking like US side. Naruto is by and away the most popular of the big three. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and a lot of people who play Naruto don't care about the the fighting game like aspect of it. It's what Volk said. It's people who just straight up want to get to play as Shikamaru, people who want to get to play as Asuma, people who want to get to play as X, Y, and Z. Or sorry, Seth, I think that was you who said it actually. Um, and like that's okay. But like that, yeah, a lot of the Naruto Storm success is purely the IP success, which I think is the other problem. You do not need MHA characters to have 360 movement. Arena fighters are ass, bro. Cut it out. Um,
Yep.
um, so I think more than anything, what needs to happen is that, and like Volk was saying, it's probably won't happen because they don't want to think about it this hard, is that each series needs to kind of have its own um approach. For example, now I don't care about Demon Slayer like that, right? But do you know what game format that if you did it with Demon Slayer would be fucking killer?
But
Souls like.
mm,
Because it would
So,
also convey the difficulty of existing in that world very well. So, like, imagine playing Dark Souls, for those of you who played Dark Souls, and more realistically on point, Sekiro, but you're Tanjiro.
that's an interesting concept for sure.
Like, that would be more in line with like what you would expect out of um
The best is that you're not Tanjiro, you're just a random
yeah,
one of the randoms.
you can
That
go
is the
50,
best.
you
This
can
is the
go
best.
50 years before Tanjiro showed up,
Yes,
and
your job is to survive. Oh man, that game, that's the pitch already just
let's see,
just so
Zayu
remarkable.
came through with apparently it now keeps track of how many super chats you've ever sent, which I think is a little wild as a feature, but it wants us
yeah.
to say specifically this is your 10th super chat. Like I said, I don't know if that's a normal feature. That seems new.
They're trying to keep favorites in here.
An MHA Kakarot style game that adapts all acts of the story would feed families. BTW, this is my first super chat. Hi.
I
See, I don't
agree.
even know why it's saying this is. See, I don't know, but um, that yes, like I think for a series like My Hero, letting you play through some of the historic battles, um, that doesn't mean I think arena fighters are good. Dragon Ball is another series that is carried by the popularity of the IP. Arena fighters aren't. People still love Budokai 3. Budokai
Yes.
3 was not an arena fighter. Like you could move along the lines of axis, but your combat was primarily 2D.
Mhm.
And it
I
was
grew up
still
on.
the better version of any Budokai fighter.
Yes, that's true. Budokai was
You have
the
to
shit.
remember something important, Chase. You don't actually like fighting games like that. Remember when I had Street Fighter 4 and you want to play it like that? Same with Mortal Kombat. You don't rock with fighters like that. You fall into the camp of people who are loving these games because they're the IPs you enjoy, and that's okay. And I can say that because we were roommates. We owned an Xbox together for a long time.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Man, you getting stressed like this, man. Yeah. But yeah, I grew up in a family like when I was younger. I grew up in a family of gamers and cinephiles. So
Mhm.
we were watching movies, anime, and sometimes we had our own on the PlayStation 2 or Xbox. We were playing like video games. And the game that we took the most of the time was Budokai 3, man. I spent days training to get better on this game just because I wanted to beat my uncle on it. Yeah. Oh man, it was something. Budokai 3 was the game of my childhood. If I can describe a game that I played a lot next to Pokemon, it would be Budokai 3.
I was not abusive in Street Fighter. That doesn't even make sense.
Damn. He's straight up exposing.
That's an aggressive ass phrasing, bro. You gotta hold up. Also, that's your fault for playing Akuma, who's a very squishy character. You played somebody with less HP than Kami.
Yeah. The thing with games, I think, for anime stuff is that it's important to have something to like pour your appreciation for the franchise into, I think. Like sometimes it really isn't enough to just, read the content. You want to like be able to explore the world in some way. So I do understand and think that the games for the Naruto series was important. And it's just unfortunate that nowadays where standards are higher now. So like that kind of thing isn't I don't really want to see that for MHA. That said, I'm sad that we have very little, it feels like. Like when I saw the Ultra Rumble pop off, I mean, that's great. I'm glad, I'm impressed that it's actually done so well, but I also wish like we had gotten better. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
And hopefully the success will also breed other titles.
Unless your name is Dragon Ball, you're not getting a good anime game.
I
Our
think
fandom has that on lock.
I
Or
think a
yeah.
better exploration might be, or like a more fun exploration, because I think for some reason a lot of anime steer away from like RPG, and I think that would be actually where a lot of anime could thrive. Because like
Honestly, I wish we had an MHA RPG. Just like, come on. Like, I love RPGs, so I would play the
because
heck out of that.
whether it's Kingdom Hearts style, turn-based style, and obviously I've been playing like a ton of Baldur's Gate 3 recently. Um,
So like something like the Kakarot and Sandland games.
something like,
The
but
thing is though, that would require like some kind of original story, and I'm just like, I really, it's like if it's not the author doing it, I have reservations.
yes,
Kakarot didn't do an original story. It was just a retelling.
Yeah,
which
I guess you could explore the same story in an RPG setting. Like, I suppose, like, if they're not doing an original story, they're just exploring, like, the MHA's overall story, but in an RPG format. I suppose then
yeah,
that would be fine too.
I
I
would
mean,
Um,
just
like, go on.
Yeah, I would just love if they can use like the world building for the game, like that we go to other countries, something like you don't have to sometimes you don't have to use you can show the characters like I don't understand the Eastern marketing, but you want to use the the same character that you have in the story. But some games should be more about outside, not really about the plot. Like you said, I would love to have a game like in My Hero Academia's case, a story like we follow maybe the how I forgot her name. Cassie became the number 1 hero of the USA, something like this. I think it would sell like to play the game like about the Star Stripes, like the origin game about Stars. So that would be something really fun to play. But in an RPG style stuff, and with her powers, might be really fun to do that. So
An
yeah,
origin game just for Star and Stripe.
I would not fate of it.
I don't
Oh, that was such a good fight.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I'd be interested in that.
Dang.
Really? You
No, I
didn't?
don't need that. Star and
Yeah.
Stripes brief kind of appearances. I know people
mean-
critique it. I do too, actually.
You
I
know
like
what that
I would have
reminds
put
me?
her early in the story, but like it's good for me to have characters that like have a precise role and then pull back when they're not needed. I know that's kind of
Yeah. You know what that,
controversial, but
you know what that reminds me of? I don't know how many of you guys have played Mass Effect, but one of the proposals for like another Mass Effect game was to go back to the days of there's this event called the First Contact War, and it's when after humans discover the technology that lets them join the Galactic Society, they they end up coming into conflict with one of the main races ruling the galaxy, and the Turians. So the proposal was that like, oh, you would go back to that, but like the problem with that was just something to fill in the history. That was to explain why things are so tense between humans and the rest of the galaxy when you play the games in the present. So that's kind of the same thing to me, where it's just like you don't need that extra context. I'm sorry. Like I
Well,
like
you don't.
Star. I just don't want like if we're gonna do a full-fledged like MHA game, I'd rather do something original or do a Kakarot style or something. Just
I would, you know, what would be a really good prequel game? One that centered on Banjo.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I would like he. I mean, when you really think about it, he was the user that was first like kind of more the traditional kind of superhero.
Hmm.
Because Shinamori spent 20 years out in the forest just
And the
training.
first three
I'd
were
kill for a Shinomori game. I love
military
just sitting
ops.
in the woods.
Yeah.
I'm curious how they met and like how Banjo ended up being the one that he passed it to.
I well, I think what I always assumed was that Shinamori could sense he was dying, right? And he
Mhm.
was like, okay, I need to pass this on before that happens. So he went out and through happenstance, maybe Banjo was like taking care of a villain. This would have been the time where heroes were like first kind of coming into being after being vigilantes. So yeah, but I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah,
A
like I
Banjo
would.
game would be sick.
If we had a Shinomori game, he would be in the Banjo game, and it would be like playing Roxas in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Uh,
You do a bunch of mini games, and then you
by
die.
by the way, Energy, did you see the report about Kingdom Hearts 4?
I did not. I saw it was trending, and I was like, you know what?
Okay.
I know it's. I was like, I already know it's not an announcement because it would be trending even harder if it were. So,
Okay, well, it's not.
Yeah,
It's nothing. It's nothing major. It's just this huge, this huge persona leaker who's like 100% accurate. Like everything she reports on is true. So she said that Kingdom Hearts 4 was currently targeting a 2026 window. So it's
that
not
makes my
going to
dick
be,
hard.
yeah. So it's not going to be at any of this SGF or TGA stuff this year. Next year is a different story, but for this year, you're not going to see it.
I'm gonna clip what he just said and just
Yeah, and then yeah. So anyway, getting into like Square Enix nerd talk, like that probably means Final Fantasy IX remake is next year, and then 2026 is Kingdom Hearts 4 time. So yeah.
In Tunisia, we do wish you the best with that procedure.
Oh,
yep,
It's
wishing you the best.
scary to go under, in any situation, but we're rooting for you. You seem like you're trying to make sure you take care of yourself, so that always helps. And you know,
Good girl.
Uh, good luck with that, Tunisia. That sounds stressful. I know you got through it.
Hell yeah.
wait, so yeah, and Cameron, it's not that games are late these days. It's that
The industry is collapsing in on itself.
well, but it's also that we just get a heads up on so much stuff in advance these days. Like we get a lot of information that we used to not. Because like people, and part of it is just I think marketing campaigns and like companies have decided that a year to 2 year long marketing campaign is worth more than, which I mean, because we were talking about Kingdom Hearts, it is kind of Kingdom Hearts fandom kind of proved that a decade long marketing campaign, even if it's not intended to be a decade long marketing campaign, is effective. Because if people know something is coming, even if they're like, "Man, I lost interest," whatever. I don't need that. What ends up happening a lot of times is that, like with Kingdom Hearts 3, there were a lot of people who had never played Kingdom Hearts 1 back in like 2004, 2005, didn't play Kingdom Hearts 2 in like 2006, didn't play like any of these games back in the day, but knew other people that played them. Saw people like, "Oh, Birth by Sleep, yeah, my friends are my power." Um, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally announced. It was a drought of like real content. I mean, like, if you weren't in Japan, you missed all the phone games. If you weren't trying to do like a browser side scrolly type game, then you weren't playing Dark Road and all this other stuff. So you didn't have a lot of content for Kingdom Hearts, basically from I think like 2011 when Birth by Sleep dropped or somewhere around there. But you basically went like 6, 7 years without a new Kingdom Hearts game for a lot of the players. Uh, and then you see Kingdom Hearts 3 come out, and you got people like me who were like, "Wow, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. It's finally releasing. What day? Oh, perfect. I'm allowed to put in request off for work 4 months in advance. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take off those days and I'm gonna play the entire game in that weekend. I'm gonna beat it. And I'm not gonna be on the internet like at all. And it's gonna be great." And a bunch of people
The setup.
saw people like me existing in this world being like, finally, since that clip scene at the end of the Kingdom Hearts 2 that you got to see, we're beating it on proud mode, that was actually a trailer for Birth by Sleep, but many of us thought was a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3, and then we got surprised. Blah, 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 blah. All those years ago, I finally am playing Kingdom Hearts again. Um, they're like, "Well, we kind of want to get into this too. These people seem excited. They seem like happy. They don't care they waited 10 years." So what happens? A bunch of people buy the Kingdom Hearts all-in-one collection. And they get caught up, and people make fancy like 30, 40, 50-minute YouTube videos. Some of them make 4-hour YouTube videos, all trying to help people who have never dealt with Kingdom Hearts catch up to Kingdom Hearts so they can play Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, okay. See, Kingdom Hearts, I find this like so fun but so frustrating because it's a fairly simple story that was told in the most bizarrely complicated way possible. Because, like, yeah, there are no side games. Despite what people like to say, Kingdom
Yeah,
Hearts
no.
has no side games. And each very key games like were released on a wide variety of different systems.
Like,
No, I got burned out of it and I feel bad about it. And by the time 3 dropped, I just didn't care. Like that was I hate how they handled that franchise entirely. I it's one of those things where it's like I wish it ended like
so
10 years but sooner.
the
So
thing
like
about 3
the
is
all-in-one
that
collection was a godsend because it just put everything in one place.
the thing
Yeah,
about
that doesn't
3
save it for
that
me though.
um like people thought it was just them kind of like beating around the bush. It had an engine switch. So they ended up like building half or like 3/4 of the game, and like the engine just couldn't do some of the stuff they needed, and they ended up stuck completely redoing an entire video game.
Oh, yeah, because
Which
it was that the one that they used for Final Fantasy 15, I think, and then they had to switch to Unreal.
so the engine that they were using, I think, actually is the engine that Forspoken ended up being built on. Interestingly enough, they were trying to build their own, and like Square is also, at least when it comes to like the Kingdom Hearts development, really bad at keeping track of their own game files. So, for Kingdom Hearts 1, the final mix version only exists because they managed to find a copy of the game at a store.
No.
So they like bought their own game
What the
and
hell?
like re-downloaded it into their system and then had to like rebuild it from there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, see,
It's like saying you don't care about the game. Literally, it's like saying that you don't care about the game.
and when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally did come out, like I got to play it a little bit before I actually did drop it. I couldn't actually bring myself to complete it. My brother who completed it actually had gameplay complaints. Like for a game that spent so long in the oven, he felt like the way that the systems were, it's just it like they try to bring back everything, but in like the worst way. Like you can cheese the game if you want to, but like there's not because of how for example, the rides work or the way the systems are implemented together, there's no real synergy, and the gameplay just feels like a mess, or it felt like a mess to him. You can play how you want, sure, but like it's just it didn't feel refined. It felt like they threw everything at it.
The only complaint that I think is extremely fair, because I think a lot of the combat did link together fine, but I think the rides criticism is valid. I do think it's interesting that they included the option to turn Disney rides off in the game, almost as if they knew people wouldn't like them. But I also think Disney required them. Um,
Supposedly Disney was the reason why the Arendelle world was not very good.
some people have said that that's not the case. I think that they're contractually obligated to say that that's not the case. Because like genuinely, the way Arendelle starts in that plot versus where it goes with Larxene feels like they wanted to tamper with the idea of Elsa doing some evil shit, and Disney was like, "No, she's our Disney princess.
Wow,
She's
it's almost like
flames
what
and
would have
she's
made the movie
fabulous."
better and what would have made the game better both got thrown out by Disney.
It's
So
typical.
Disney is like, and like obviously they own Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not like Disney can do anything or like Square can do anything Disney doesn't want them to. The which, by the way, Disney almost had us make, I think, Donald Duck the main character of Kingdom Hearts. Because
No.
It was
Square,
supposed to be.
I think Square wanted Mickey, and Disney was kind of like, well, I mean, because Mickey hadn't been rendered in 3D before yet, or like as a 3D model in a video game, so they didn't want that. Um, so we got Sora as a compromise between like different stuff that they wanted.
Oh, thank
But
God.
yes, but like Disney IP maintenance and license maintenance is also why Tarzan's world was only in the first game, because like I guess their hold on that IP like lapsed between
Yeah,
Kingdom
they
Hearts.
lost that.
So we just
Is
didn't
it
need to
not
have them
public domain?
I'm guessing there's something extra to being able to use it though,
Kind of
because
like the Sherlock Holmes
yeah,
situation.
I mean, the
Uh,
thing is, like, Sora more or less follows up on all the other characters he meets in the first game in either 2 or 3. But then Tarzan was kind of like the only one. Like, you get Simba as a summon in Kingdom Hearts 1, and like he gets a whole world in 2.
yeah.
So like even things like that. But Tarzan is like the only one who's kind of absent. So I don't know
and
specifically what's
gets
going on
no
there.
mention whatsoever
Yeah.
in 2 or 3. Like there's at least like talk or mention or like little nods throughout series when they reference other worlds. Like the reason you can summon Stitch in 2 ends up being because he's tied to Ventus because of the fact that he went to like him, Aqua, and Terra all went to Lilo and Stitch's world. So, which is another example of what Joseph was talking about, though, with there being no actual side games, because
It's
it just seems like
it's
it seems like you can
all
just
connected, dude.
randomly access Stitch, and it's like, no, actually, there's a dude inside of Sora's body who hung out with this guy 10 years ago. So you have a bond
Uh,
with him.
I remember that they had also a game on PSP. Was it also not a
Yeah,
side game?
that was Birth by Sleep. No, there are no side games in Kingdom Hearts. If a game comes out on a flip phone in 2011,
Yeah, the gotcha games are plot important.
So you had to buy the PSP to have all the games.
not anymore. But yes,
Yeah,
at one point, yes, you needed to own a 3DS, a regular Nintendo DS, a PSP, and a PlayStation 2.
and a Game Boy
Man.
Advance for the
Oh, and a
original
Game Boy Advance. Yes.
for the original Chain of Memories. Which okay, so like
Oh.
the primary antagonist of the first of the story arc, Organization 13, was introduced in what was essentially a recap arc.
Yep. So yeah, there's like 5 different systems that you used to need to play. And technically, there's still no way to play every single game and experience the entirety of the story. I recommend if people are like really into it, like they just watch some of the cutscenes for some of the stuff because you're just not. Like me personally, I'm not gonna play a live service game that I believe has actually already been sundowned. Um, to get pieces of the story drip fed over months at a time. That's just not who I am typically.
I know for like one of the mobile games that they had like a movie
Yeah.
type cutscene type thing where it just covered the important parts that players needed to know going forward. And sure enough, it showed up in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh,
So
well, what's funny is Key Back Cover, which is a movie that randomly came out, doesn't actually address. It's not even a
that's what I was
cutscene. It's
talking
like a
about.
yeah. It's actually a prequel to that side game. So there's also just like yeah, there's a lot. There's a
Wow.
lot.
I'm happy that I never became a fan of it. I wouldn't have the money to do that.
I
Back in
personally
the day.
love the shit out of the franchise, but I also understand um Seth's position of I'm fucking burnt out with having to like care about all this other stuff
Yeah, if you
and track
watch,
down all this
sorry.
shit.
If you
Yeah.
watch Super Butterbuns' for beginners videos on the Kingdom Hearts, like she even had a video about getting into the series, which was before the all-in-one collection came out when they had 2 individuals, which are the ones that I ended up buying. But she has plenty of jokes about the various systems that you would need to play the series as it was coming out.
I'd say, to be fair, I probably should not have picked up the Kingdom Hearts gotcha. That was a mistake. Like
Oh,
several levels of mistake. And
yeah, I've
like,
never played the gotcha. I'm gonna be honest with you.
oh my gosh, like it's probably the most predatory gotcha I've played. Not necessarily the cost of like like just never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh man, I can
Gotcha
see
games
how
are not
hurt.
your
I
friend.
can
So,
hear who hurt you
Uh,
are, man.
like
so Seth, what you're saying is they gotcha.
Oh, Elvis,
Look, I have done
there's like
plenty to
3
support the
gotchas for
Kingdom
Kingdom
Hearts
Hearts.
franchise. I can say whatever I want. I can say
I
whatever I want.
I am very careful with gotcha these days. There's only one I spend money on, and even then it's like only kind of semi-regularly, like every couple months at most. So
The only
Right.
gacha I spend money on is League of Legends. I'm kidding. I actually don't spend money on any of their gacha stuff, and I will not be buying the $500 Faker Ari bundle. Don't buy it unless you're a bozo.
Oh
500.
man,
Fake
I heard about that
fan.
one.
Five
Literally.
hundred dollars? You can buy
Okay, so
you
I
can
meant
buy
to
the
get on my
console with
soapbox
that.
about this a while ago, and I just haven't really gotten on my soapbox. So here's your League of Legends rant, sponsored by me. So Faker is unquestionably the greatest player to have an impact on League of Legends. So League of Legends is basically creating their Hall of Fame. It's called the Hall of Legends. And the way it works is a player gets inducted, and when that player gets inducted, they actually get an in-game event, which is going to have an event pass. They're going to get custom emotes based on them, and some of their champions are signature champions or champions they really like are getting skins in game.
Mm-hmm.
So what Riot has done is they have created bundles, um, and in these bundles you get, obviously like your in-game cosmetics. Um, and it comes with a couple of extra, different unique tiers of cosmetics. Like one of them is designed to make it so that towers explode. And then they drop like Faker signature on the map permanently, it looks like, after that tower has been destroyed by that player. So like you can like drop Faker signature all over the map. You get special emotes when you kill people. The skin has a couple of different changes that it goes throughout the game. But what makes it a problem, let me just that kind of line up. Let's just do that. So the problem is that when you buy stuff in League, you buy Riot points, which is their, in-game currency or whatever. Let me see if I can find this. Hall of Legends. See, does this have the bundles mentioned? Yes. Okay, so if something costs like 1,350 Riot points, it's effectively worth $10. So what Riot has done is, in commemoration of Faker, a player notorious for not using skins in League, they have created these bundles, right? So I'm actually sharing my screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Risen LeBlanc pass, which this one's 1950, but it comes with the event pass. This one is actually a good deal. I'll be honest with you and admit this is a good deal. This is not a scam here. You get a couple titles. Looks like it's even included some classic skins. If you can get far enough along in the event pass, I already own these skins, so that doesn't mean anything to me, but it means something for people who don't own these skins because I used to buy every esports skin basically before I went on like my hiatus. But you have the Ari collection. So this is 1950. Remember what I said, a 1350 skin is roughly $10. So 1950, it's about like 16, 17 bucks. That's whatever. That's fine. These are digital assets, not a big deal. You can see an example of some of the emotes over here that, that'll come with it. It's got a little border. I do enjoy playing LeBlanc. She's a little difficult to really win with because she's kind of a COD player and League isn't Call of Duty, so kills don't necessarily win you games. That's all right. So you see here, we got Ari. Now, Ari, she is the Gooner bait. She's Gooner bait. I'm going to be honest with you. She's one of the most beloved champions in the game. She's got tons of skins. She has like 3 statues that are worth like $200. And I want you to keep that in mind for later. This RP bundle, you see here, it costs 5,430 RP. Now, if the LeBlanc skin is worth like roughly 15, now we've already moved into like the $40-$50 territory. Which is kind of insane. Like you're talking $60 just for, but this comes with the pass, all that other stuff, and it does have all the LeBlanc bundle. So that's okay, somewhat. Like it's still kind of expensive for all digital asset bundle. So the Immortalized, 32,430.
The fuck?
We have officially moved into the $200-$300 territory with just digital assets. Now you see the mention of the skins and all this other stuff. There's like a little extra thing that happens when the champion finishes you off or whatever. Cool. I guess the splash art is going to move when you're loading into champion select, rip people with potatoes. Um, you know, and some little stuff here. But this is the one that is 59,260 RP. Understand that in order to make this even purchasable, that Riot, who typically has a restriction on how much you can spend on RP in a single day, is removing that limit. So that if you want to spend the 500, not 500, I think it's like $430, something like that, to get this RP, you can. They had to remove their own imposed limits so people have healthy spending habits in their game to make this bundle purchasable without it having to be you buying RP over the course of 4 to 5 days.
It's
So
scary.
And so you get a fast track to the 100 levels on the event pass, and you get all the stuff mentioned in the other bundles. Now the problem with this is that I just told you guys they have statues that are $200. So why on earth are you selling a product as a collector's item for $430 that is in direct contradiction to the business model you have already established to your customer base just to go whale hunting when it's supposed to be a celebration event for one of the most famous players that the game has ever seen? And by one of, I mean the most famous player the world has ever seen, the one who has done more than anyone else to elevate the esport, the one who has won 4 world championships, something that has not been done before. 3 of those within the first 4 years of his career, one of them being last year, showing that you can play the game for 10 years and still be a world champion. And he's only used a skin a total of 5 times in competitive play.
Wow.
One of those times was his own Rise skin to flex on somebody out of Worlds. And you thought the best way to honor him is by giving him and his team 30% of the proceeds from these purchases, which is the standard rate for esports collections and stuff. I will admit that. But if you're going to sell a $500 bundle, $450 bundle, and only give them 30%, that is egregious. And we know that physical assets are valuable because, and this is important, when Riot has released collectors stuff with digital assets, they did this last year for Worlds, they understood that to break that $100 price point and have it feel good, that they should sell a physical asset. This is the Worlds box. This is a $125 thing. You got this Worlds box plus an in-game event pass, plus a skin, some extra chromas. So when you show that you understand how to make a valuable collector item, and then you turn around and you make one that is in direct contradiction to every metric you have established, and you've been transparent about your requirements for tiers of skins, what it's supposed to be, you're being a shitter. Like, when Riot charges you $35 for a skin, there are roughly, let me see, there's Spirit Guard Udyr, there's DJ Sona, Pulsefire Ezreal, colloquially known as Pulse Feeder Ezreal, Soul Fighter Samira, and there's basically the Seraphine bundle that has like 3 skins that you buy all at once because it's her rise to being a pop star. That is 5 skins in this game that are $35 because they understand that that is a lot to spend on cosmetics. Also note that the one of these skins, the Soul Fighter Samir, is a questionable inclusion as, oh, and there's also Gun Goddess Misfortune and Elementalist Lux. I almost forgot those 2. So there's total 7 skins total that cost more than $20 in the game. And within this past year, it's only within this past year have they started doing this ridiculous whale hunt strategy where they introduced gotcha mechanics to try to get people to basically roll and buy 30 capsules, which eventually leads to you spending $200 to guarantee that you can get these like mythic variant skins. And this shit with Ari that is wild. And like Riot used to be an extremely community oriented, which to a certain degree, I guess, is a free to play game. Because like Tunisia, I know you're saying like you'll never touch the game, and understand that the reason why I was willing to come back to this game and why I played this game between 2013 and 2018 pretty almost religiously is because it is a fundamentally, as much as people say the community is toxic, good game. It is not necessarily an easy game to get into. There's a lot of shitters in the community. It's a game with a huge knowledge curve, but ultimately it is a good game. Like the mechanics are engaging. Learning a champion feels satisfying. Climbing feels good if you are actively winning and you're playing to improve and you're acknowledging your own mistakes instead of hyper focusing on your teammates. So understand, I'm not telling you that the League of Legends is a bad game. I wouldn't be playing it in 2024 if it was a bad game. I wouldn't watch the esport if I thought it was a bad game. However, I am just strictly addressing that this past year, there has been a crazy surge in predatory practices and going after like whale hunting when the reality is that League does not need to whale hunt. It just simply needs to put out quality skins and people will buy it. I will tell you directly, I've spent over $1,000 on League of Legends, just probably in skins, just over the course of playing the game. Because it's that fun. You just want to like flex. Sometimes you decide you want to buy skins for like make sure you own every skin for a champion just so you can switch it up every game you play him, whatever the case may be. But this shit is weird, and companies need to start recognizing that it is okay to not whale hunt because whales are going to whale anyway. That's what makes them whales. They don't need you to put in a $200 skin that alienates a bunch of the other people. Even if they say, oh, we would like to have these rare, they don't need you to do that. Just by releasing a limited time skin, you can give them that artificial scarcity, which is how they used to do it. You can only buy certain skins at a certain period of time. So that's me on my soapbox about the league skins. If you are going to ever release a collector's bundle for anything, and you are a video game, you have to include physical assets. Here's another example. So when Mortal Kombat, I believe 11 dropped, I bought the collector's. Okay, Scorpion. Well, I bought a collector's edition, and ignoring the fact that his arm fell off, it came with this Scorpion, and it was like $100. When the first Injustice came out, I need to dust these. I bought this Injustice set. It was like $100. Came with this statue. See, you see, like we're buying $100, $200, $225 things, and they're coming with statues. This Ari bundle not coming with the statue is egregious. It's insulting, and it ignores the fundamental cash value of what a collector's edition and collector's item is supposed to be. So if we're gonna do collector's items like this bear, like the Mortal Kombat, like the Injustice, make sure there's a physical product. And I'm surprised you just realized that was Chase, John. All right. Back on the manga. Just had to get that off my chest. Because I almost did a whole video on it, but I decided that would look very engagement farmy considering I don't typically make videos on League. So I didn't want it to look like I was just going for a quick check on my channel. I mean, I guess arguably I always have the excuse to do that because I have a kid now, but still. Ethics, right? See,
I don't
right?
believe in morals here.
That's how it's done.
It felt it came from something really deep inside, deep from the came from your soul, so it couldn't stop you. Couldn't stop you.
But yeah,
I never
So
played. I played Smite more than LoL, so I was more a Smite guy because I love that. So yeah. But yeah, the LoL community but one of my best friend very long, and he missed one class because of it. He missed one class. I mean, that he, how do we say it in English? When you're not passing to the next grade, you just stay in the same grade up to 1 year.
Mhm.
Or how do we say that in English?
You kind of faded out there a little bit.
Oh, I faded out. Do you
Yep.
hear me? Do you hear?
I can hear
do
you now. I can.
So like, is this the part where we give our final thoughts?
Yes, because
Yes.
I don't know if we have anything else to say about the chapter. So yeah, we can go
Okay.
final thoughts. Which Ponzu, since you're roboting, we might want to knock this out while we can hear you, so that way you don't fade out.
Okay. Okay, it's fine. I hold it up signal. Okay, great, good chapter. I don't know what to expect for the next chapter now. So Horikoshi tried to surprise us with something. So thank you again for being here. Like the stream and bye.
Oh, okay. Joseph.
I thought this was a very sweet chapter. Like the graduation stuff, especially seeing Aoyama deciding to step aside, and I'm glad. I expected Aizawa to stay as their homeroom teacher, and I'm kind of glad that's the case, especially since it is an epilogue arc. But I don't know, I'm just like really I thought it was a cute, sweet chapter, and I'm looking forward for the pain to come.
Okay. Coyote.
For me, this was an all right chapter. I'm not really a person who enjoys happy stuff, so having all these characters do fun stuff, I didn't really feel anything for it. I'd rather see All Might suffering than have 50 good plus fun moments. Just one chapter of All Might suffering is way better than anything in the series to me. The Aoyama light moment, go ahead and get the cucked Deku speech. Bro, I wasn't even thinking of that. But
He's like, wait, hold on. For once, I'm not trolling that hard, guys. Leave me alone.
yeah, man, let me live. I've been chilling this whole stream, man. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of like happy moments. The Aoyama stuff is pretty good. I could live without the light show gag, but oh, that's just me. Overall, yes, I am an edgelord. Overall, I'm pretty sure Tom Ass would have loved this shit. I'm sad he didn't get on stream this stream, but we live, we move. Hail Horikoshi, and happy birthday to East again. I'll sing you sweet love later, bruh.
All right. Seth.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing a little bit. Coyote's like, oh, I'm not down for all the happy moments, and then he's like, I'm sending you sweet love, East. And it's just like, and I'm like, bro. No, but no. Anyways, yeah. So this was a great chapter. In my mind, it was a lot of mixed feelings just because of the nature of the series ending while still advancing the plot. Like I mentioned before, but I'm excited and also sad at the same time reading this. Let's see. I didn't get to sound off too much actually on the chapter, so sorry if I take a little bit of time. I like Mirio's speech a lot. Uh, it hits the right notes for me, both in terms of recognizing the reality of heroics in society. You can argue more broadly law enforcement in general, but it's like by the time you have to call for help, something has already gone wrong, and all someone can do to respond to it is to like set it back to how it was before somewhat. And even then, it might not ever go back the way it was. So it's like you're fighting against this downward spiral sometimes. I mean, society needs some form of, stability. People got to keep things like from slipping too far. So that's what heroes do in a way. But in terms of pushing things forward, there's more that is needed. So I like Mirio's speech a lot. That was a great tone to open with. And it was a graduation ceremony. That was what was so bittersweet about the moment. It's like you have it both ways where it's like, okay, we think about the future, but also the series is ending, guys. So like that was such a it was the perfect way to start the epilogue, in my opinion. It captures a lot while also promising more. In fact, there's a lot of promises made just from all these interactions here. You see Deku thinking about a lot of things. He thinks about what Fua said, the 2A now 3A character. He thinks about what she said when she's like, "Yeah, it made me think about the expulsion thing with Aizawa. It made me think about why I became a hero." And Deku is in such an awkward, well, not awkward exactly, but he's in such a unique position because now he has a limited bit of power left. So it's like, what is his future as a hero? Then you immediately follow that up with him noticing Uraraka. Like they're joking a bit about Uraraka's speech, but she's obviously coping, and Deku notices that too. So it's still all within the narrative context. This is a dense chapter, and then it hits you with a new villain reveal, all connected to that still, and finally ending with the Todoroki stuff, which is just a whole other can of drama. Like this is such a densely packed chapter, and I really liked it. It's such a good start to the rest of the arc. Um, I think the only other thing I wanted to touch on was I like how Horikoshi reintroduced this Fua character. I think she has a really interesting position as a student representative for helping society rebuild. I think that's a cool way to involve her in the plot without making her feel like too forced.
Yeah.
So overall, let me see. Um, hmm. Yeah, I already coped about Tokoyami and let's see. Todoroki stuff, right. Uh, Actually, there really isn't anything you can say about that other than brace yourself because holy cow, Dobby's in like some kind of device that's probably meant to keep him from blowing up, but also like it's on life support, but also like they're gonna pull the plug. So like there's just oh Shoto's response though was cool. He's actually emoting, like he doesn't really do the whole "yeah, I'm fine" kind of thing that Deku did, but also like he's adding his own bit of there's this weird enthusiasm to it. I don't know how to describe it, but like it's a lot of emotion that we don't usually get from Shoto. So I'm excited and nervous for him and his family. There's so many interactions I want to see, but for now, this was a great start. So thanks again for having me.
Always a pleasure. So, Volt, let's wrap it up with you. Did Volt? Don't tell me Volt said it was time for final thoughts, and then he turned around and vanished.
Uh,
Your Aang looking ass.
I guess I popped off a
I'm
bit too hard.
I'm in between watching the Xbox showcase and listening. So yeah. Final thoughts?
Yes, Aang.
It was Indiana Jones. I had to do then. Okay. So this was a very lovely start to the final I guess this is the final arc. There's really nothing indicating something after this. I find it interesting how like in like another shonen series, this would probably be like relegated to like an epilogue movie or something, like something you'd have to go to go to the anime to see. No, it's being put in the manga and we're wrapping things up correctly. I really love how it's kind of like this you're establishing everything that's happened after war, you're establishing everything about the characters. And the Mirio's speech, it was like it was such a good way to kind of lead into what this arc is going to be dealing with. Is like turning all of those negatives that we've been dealing with and finally getting like back to square one, but also like that's not really all there is to it. Like there's all these like there are all these lingering questions and things need to change about society definitively. And that's where I'm interested with like this new villain. Shoto was talking about how All for One was born in a time of chaos. Well, this kind of seems to be kind of starting over again. So this is Deku's chance. This is the kid's chance to really bring a close to things and take that step forward into a bright future. It's a fairly realistic look relatively at what happens after wars. Like you got to pick up the pieces first. It's not like you beat the bad guy and all of a sudden everything's okay. No, there are still difficulties. There are still things you need to work through. I love how the curriculum is laid out for the for the kids. Like it just makes perfect sense. And then lastly, these are kind of the other curious things. Ochako's reticence, like I'm very intrigued to see where that goes, honestly. Like I know I keep talking about it, but it really does feel like that heart to heart between them where like they just completely 100% honest about all their feelings, whether it's romance or what happened with their respective villains and everything, and Deku's own difficulties with being quirkless, like that's being saved for later, and that's going to be super, super good. Like, there's a reason Deku no Chako's relationship has been developed the way it is. It's like it is ultimately leading to what we're about to see. And I think, and you know, for some people, like it's never going to be enough, and it was never really about how well or poorly developed Ochako was. It was simply because of like it was just not an outcome that they were attached to. It's like, but I hope for others that it is that kind of missing piece that brings it all together, and they start to see like that's why things proceeded the way they did. And I think that's what we're gonna get. But next chapter very much seems to be Todoroki drama. Now he's getting that plug pulled. Like, I'm sorry. Barring some kind of miracle and maybe something with the Ujiko, I don't know. Kind of feels like they're preparing to say goodbye to him. So that's gonna be super devastating. And you know, like Ochako and Shoto, like the Shoto is somewhat similar to Deku too, is like where he's kind of like not giving voice to things that are troubling him. So I'm like I think that's all going to come together and I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, excellent start to the epilogue and really really gentle handling from Horikoshi. Like that's what I get whenever I read like these downtime chapters is that he handles them with so much grace and gentleness and genuine love for these characters that you're always going to be on board with what he gives you. So those are my thoughts.
All right. Thank you guys for coming through and everybody who watched the stream today and sat there listening to us ramble. Thank you for tolerating my rant on why this shit with Riot is fucking terrible.
Yes, sir.
Volk doesn't need to be fired. Relax. And yeah, we can definitely link up this week, especially considering what's going on. That'd be a good idea. I actually should have a grill coming in tomorrow.
Oh
So I
my
can grill
God,
all
he's doing a
summer.
cookout.
Yes, actually. Oh, I gotta buy some sandals though so I can complete the look. But yeah, maybe that's what you guys will get once My Hero finishes, just cooking videos. Just remember, I'm not a chef. I'm a nigga who cooks. But
Get some patties on that Barbie.
I actually have a very specific style of burger that I make where I usually take ground sirloin and then I specifically soft fry a little bit of bacon after dicing it up into small bits, and then I weave it into the ground beef, and then I hand shape the patties
Bacon
and
patties.
season them so that they're nice and firm. And so I use sirloin because it's a 90%. It's a 90 to 10 instead of 80-20 like typical burgers, but because the bacon, it still doesn't dry out. So the extra fat in that, so it helps it be a bit more of a balanced burger.
You
So
just said terms I did not understand, bro.
okay, so here's what you do. The next time you're at a grocery store, I want you to look at the ground beef packs, and you'll notice that sometimes they'll say like 80%, and you'll notice like those big tubes, they'll say like 73% lean. What that is the muscle to fat ratio. So when
I
you
thought
see
that was a
like
drug you sipped.
lean is also a drug, but two different lean meanings here.
You put lean
Uh,
in your burgers?
no. Lean is just means muscle versus fat. So you look at that and you can see the ratio. And if you see like 73%, that's going to have like a lot of fat or a lot of fat relative to the beef. And you can find ground beef that's up to like 95% lean, but usually you're going to see like 75% or 73%. Typically, people try to run with like an 80%, 20% ratio because fat is a bit of flavor and it renders down as you're cooking the patty. That's also why when you buy a lot of burgers, there's pre-cooking weight because that fat is going to cook down and kind of render out, but also spread out and like create flavor in the patty. So you do that and then you figure out what kind of ratios you like, and that's how you can kind of figure out what you want to do from there. That's why like Wagyu is such a big deal because its ratio is far lower as far as like the lean. Um, but it's got that marbling, and that's why you don't put it on the grill necessarily because when you grill Wagyu, because of how much fat it renders, it'll actually drip into the coals and create a lot more flare ups than the typical burger would. So there's that too. I'm gonna try out some new techs with soaked wood and some other stuff though next time I'm grilling.
God damn, we need to put you on Gordon Ramsay's show, man.
I am not good enough for a Gordon Ramsay show. I'll tell you that for free.
I mean, have you seen how Gordon Ramsay makes his grilled cheese?
I've seen him make his burgers and he grabs whole steaks and puts them through his grinder.
Yeah.
Oh, small detail. If you want to make a beef sausage at home, I don't know why any of you would do that, but if that's what you're interested in doing, then actually getting that tube ground beef that's like 73% lean to 27% fat is apparently the good ratio that you want for your sausages because you need that fat to emulsify and render out. I guess you need milk powder too, so that's another thing. Because I was watching the barbecue cook-off show on Netflix this past weekend, and they had like 4 different sausages cooked across 16 episodes by people, and they only liked one person's sausage because they fucked all that up. And somebody tried a 50-50 ratio, and it led to somebody getting a bite of pure fat in the sausage, which sounds miserable. But yeah,
This man is just knowledgeable.
I like food and I like grilling a lot. So getting a new grill for me just means having a new cooking apparatus to make nice meat experiments until like November. And arguably even after that, depending on how much snow is surrounding the grill. And even that might not stop me if there's a shovel nearby. So oh, I don't think we'll have a stream between now and Juneteenth. So yeah, make sure you celebrate Juneteenth. Give the black people in your life love. Celebrate the American black freedom.
Hell yeah.
Only 10 days away.
Yeah, I'll probably grill for Juneteenth now that I think about it. Was that Volk that said that?
It was.
Wow, way to go, Volk. You're in Canada. That doesn't even mean nearly as much to you. So
I mean, hey, I mean, solidarity is solidarity.
hey, yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
it didn't exist up here.
I'm actually planning to try to do some smoking. I want to get some so for those of you who don't know, but you've seen people online talking about pork belly is just bacon before it's cut. So if you want to make your own bacon, which you can do, which the grill that I'm buying actually has a smoking compartment, which so what I'm thinking about doing is trying to find some uncut pork belly and then taking the steps to maybe trim off some of the top skins and then seasoning it and then trying to smoke and make homemade bacon. That's actually something that I think I want to do this summer. And maybe I'll tell you how that turns out if I decide to do it. Not sure if I want to do it or if I'll have access to it because I might have to go to the Costco and I don't have a Costco membership. So if somebody is in Wisconsin and has a Costco membership and would like to go to Costco with me and get some uncut pork belly, we can do that and I'll try to make bacon. But yeah, remember, you can't smoke on a propane grill. So Hank Hill was wrong. Uh, whenever my wife watches King of the Hill and he starts talking about why propane is better than charcoal, I'm like, shut up, dude. Shut up. Shut up. Man, look. And a grilling stream would actually be really boring because what grilling actually is
A lot
putting
of waiting.
like creating a fire, walking away for like 30 minutes because you want the temperature to get regulated, and then maintaining it, making sure to add coals when necessary. But then also, if you're depending on how you want to cook it, if you want to do techniques like a reverse sear, you got to have a hot and cold zone in your grill. And what that just really means is like a direct heat spot versus an indirect heat spot. So, for example, let's say you want to make steaks. One of the best ways to seal in that juice is to, like, let's just say you have one of those, because I always get those like rectangle type grills that are like kind of wide, you know what I'm talking about? So you like stock the left side with the coals or whatever. You got your heat going over there. You put your steaks on like the right side, and you have them in there getting that ambient heat. And then what you do is you wait. I mean, if you have a thermometer, you stick that in there, see what temperature it's at. You're probably going to go for like 125 if you have functioning taste buds. And you know how your steak is best at like 135. So then you take that out, and then you grab that, and then you stick that over the direct heat for like a minute on each side. Flip it over. It should hit that 135 internal. You pull it off. You should have a nice crust on both sides while also having gotten a more even cook, and there should be more juice left over. So you move that over, let that sit, rest, and then cut it after like 10 minutes. You should have a nice rare to medium rare steak. Be real good. Moss watering just thinking about it. All right. But that's going to be the stream. The chapter is good. It's the start of a new arc, the final arc, the true final arc. Aoyama leaving is sad, but I think it's kind of like the right thing for him to do. We always knew that it was somebody was going to leave. I never really talked about it, but I kind of figured that he wasn't going to get to come back to UA. So the fact that instead he's opting to transfer out, which guarantees that there's still 20 and 2A and 2B works. I think it was always like the plot point Shinso said for him to become and get into the hero chorus, somebody would transfer out. So that little throwaway, what could have been seen as throwaway line, got paid off. So sports festival actually having more payoff here. I like Aoyama trying to give the cheese again, even though once again Deku doesn't eat it. And that maintaining brightness for others that he's doing here, I think is true to his character. And it's something that was highlighted all the way back in original license, that he was willing to sacrifice himself for what he considered to be the betterment of the class. Do think it's a little sad that he still sees it that way, but I think it's important that he does because it shows an actual understanding of the weight of what he's done. And I want to see more progression between Deku and Ochako, because it feels like Ochako's trying to play it too cool after her confession. So I want to see where that goes, because it almost feels like she doesn't know how to talk about it, or like how the conversation is being broached. And I don't think we're going to skate over that. Haircuts aside. And the Todoroki chapter next arc, I expect to be one of the heavier chapters in this epilogue, because I genuinely do kind of think this is we're about to let Dabi die, but I think the family has to sit around and have a talk about what's all going on and what they'll be doing going forward. Because I don't just think Dabi dies here. I think the future of where Enji's going is also what's going to be addressed.
So do you
Yeah.
think this might be the Hellish Todoroki family part 3?
Yeah. I think they have to take this final step through hell, and the people who can make amends will, but I don't see Enji being able to forgive himself, and I don't see anybody else being able to forgive him fully for what's about to happen with Toya. So I think that I actually genuinely expect the next chapter to be kind of very uncomfortable. Just from the standpoint of it's going to be some really serious discourse. And it'll be interesting to see how people deal with that, because it's not always handled the best in the fandom, but that's just something that we're going to have to, make peace with and deal with as, the bridge will cross when we get there kind of thing. So excited for all that, though. Appreciate everybody who came through. Now, after segueing to talk about barbecue for solid like 10 minutes, the stream will be ending. So I want to thank everybody who came through. Volk,
Yep, yep.
Onto, Coyote. You guys
Yep.
are all great.
Yep.
Let me make sure I address anything, final things in the chat, because I accidentally just closed my
Yeah,
window.
can you click address my comment?
Hold on. What did you say in the chat? If you're not willing to hand feed your homie cheese, are you really homies? I mean, you gotta be willing to feed your homies. You never
Yeah,
know when
man.
somebody
I'd
gets,
feed you cheese.
if somebody's injured or something. I mean, take care of them, feed them, hand them a chicken wing. Also, if you're real friends, you'll eat the hottest wing at a bar together and end up with diarrhea the next day. That's something that my adult life has taught me. That's real friendship right there.
You
Y'all
gotta
take
do a
care.
Hot Ones interview, man.
Actually, that is one of the things that I would love to do. 30th. Okay. Oh, for a second, I thought when he said 30th on a Wednesday was going to be the next chapter, I was like, what the fuck? But no. So yeah, I don't remember the exact timeline for when the next chapter drops, and I don't see it mentioned on Shonen Jump, which I can check.
Should be
He's
a
off for 2
2-week
weeks a week, I
break.
believe. Yeah.
Which
JJK is on an extended break. MHA will be back in 2 weeks.
okay, because
You notice how they did this right before the Elden Ring DLC drops?
that's wild.
Oh,
They faking. They faking.
wait, didn't that really happen with the writer of Delicious in Dungeon with Baldur's Gate 3? Like went on hiatus right when that came out.
Damn, that's wild. I didn't play Baldies until this year though, so I don't know. It probably did happen.
I haven't played it either. That's just something I heard that happened. Like,
Would
uh,
you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3?
I have not.
Neither of you?
No, no, no. I own it. I
No.
have 100 hours in it now.
Oh, okay.
I've not played that at all.
I've been
If you've
doing
not
a
played
Warlock
it,
playthrough.
I have about 30 minutes in it. It's not the game for me, but I absolutely respect it. It is
Are you playing?
incredible.
Are you playing
I
on
mean,
Steam, Seth?
you can just switch it to easy if you want. Like,
Maybe.
If you're playing on Steam, I'll play with you.
Ooh. Yeah, no, actually, I played it at a friend's house, so it's not even on my computer.
Oh,
they're
okay,
doing
okay.
they're doing
Oh.
crossplay in patch 7 too.
Oh,
Oh,
so yeah, I'll play Baldur's Gate 3 with you. We can run around and get in this shit. And since I played 100 hours, there's some stuff that I can be like, don't do that. Don't do that.
yeah, well, I'll see if I can find the time. I'm still trying to learn a lot of things. Like getting into streaming is both
Yeah.
well, it's both exciting and disheartening. My computer definitely can't handle certain things, so I have to look in getting a new one.
Yeah, when I bought my computer, I debated on building a new PC or like building a PC or just getting a laptop, but I was like, well, I don't want to have to try to move a desktop, so I just shelled out the extra cash to get an expensive gaming laptop. And I still got one that was more in the middle price range, but I was like, this will last like 5-6 years before it gets like phased out. Because that's how my old laptop lasted about 7to 8 years before it became like too weak to deal with modern stuff. So yeah. If you do that, just keep in mind what you're gonna want to do, and if you're gonna have to move or anything like that, and you're worried about difficulties, etc. And yes, we can play together. Like I'm open to gaming with any of my friends, so it's just a matter of adding me on the platforms that I play video games on. But yeah, all right. Now I'm gonna actually end the stream because I said I was gonna do that, and then we started talking about Baldur's Gate 3. All right, appreciate you all. Y'all have a great time. We'll see you soon. Message me for those of you in my personal lives. And if you guys want to reach out to me on Discord or you're somebody who wants to reach out, I'll try to check my Twitter DMs if we're not mutuals and you have something you really want to